Hey friends, it's your pal Mike Shea from Sly Flourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy GM Prep. In this weekly show, I go through steps from Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master whilst preparing for my Sunday role-playing game. In this case, I am running the Tales of the Valiant role-playing game set in the world of Midgard in a home campaign that I am referring to as Scourge of the Dragon Empire. It is set in the Marathi region of Midgard, the eastern region controlled by 9 powerful, super powerful dragons that have created an alliance among themselves to rule over this entire region. They are known as the Morza. This show, like all of the work of Sly Flourish, is brought to you by the patrons of Sly Flourish. Patrons get access to all kinds of tips, tricks, tools, resources, adventures, extra podcasts, all kinds of stuff you get for being a patron of Sly Flourish. It's a really good deal. Lots of people love it. Lots of people are getting a lot of value out of it every week. And members of the Sly Flourish Patreon also get access to the Lazy DMs community over on Discord. And most of all, they help me put on shows like this. To the patrons of Sly Flourish, thank you so much for your support. So the characters just finished a great heist at a dragon vault known as Black Spire that contained so much gold that they had to throw it all into the dry lands, essentially the hellish world of the undead. They just opened it. They had a allied devil named Cattell open a portal to the dry lands and then shoved 2 million gold worth of gold and gold bars and everything into this pit. And who knows where that gold is now? Who knows what happened with it? But they got rid of it, which took it out of the Dragon Empire's hands. But then they had to escape from the vault. They got out of the vault. They traveled up into the mountains. They found I refer to as a junction, which is essentially a transfer point over into the Shadow Roads. They transferred over to the Shadow Roads and then made the choice of either going along the Scholar's Path or going along a place known as the Low Road. I forget exactly what its name was. Something Low Road. They said, let's take the Low Road because it stays out of the view of the Shadow Realm allies of the Dragon Empire. And they followed that path and entered the defunct Court of Winter's Love, one of the royal courts of the Shadow Realm that nobody had really heard anything about in some time. An ice devil met them. They fought some shadowy saber-toothed tigers. Then they met, and then a ice devil came out. And there's like these several different ice devils that work for the queen of the Court of Winter's Love, named Callisler. She's the Lady of Ash and Sorrow. And originally I was going to have her be a vampire, but I'm vampired out. I've used vampires for so often. I'm like, I want her to be something else. And I came up with this idea that she is like this shapeless abomination, right? She's this sort of shapeless horror. And she doesn't even really know what she is, but she is in constant and kind of continual pain and sorrow. And she has a husband named Claremont. And Claremont has been kidnapped by the Dragon Empire. And she's worried that, like, you know, she doesn't really have the resources to go rescue him and is afraid they'll kill him if she tries anything. So she recruits the characters to return to Midgard and recover her husband, Claremont. Claremont is actually a goblin bard. And I think the shtick that we came up with in our last prep was that Claremont is a goblin bard whose singing is some of the only, art form that soothes Callisler. And it is the reason that she wants him back, is so that he will sing and play music for her, and it will soothe her aching existence, which is kind of like grim and sad, but so is the Shadow Realm. So I think it fits the Shadow Realm. So the characters went along the path. They fought the saber-toothed tiger things, did pretty well against them, then met the Ice Devil, whose name was Silvereye, I think. They followed Silvereye, they went to the court, they met the queen, they talked to her, and the whole time they see her as like this white-robed, white-dressed elven woman that's kind of has trouble moving, like she's very arthritic. But in the shadows behind, they saw this like multi-mouthed, multi-limbed, shapeless horror that's kind of shuffling around. And they're like, wow, it's kind of like her. That's the real her, but our minds can't even comprehend her. And so they build this model, that your brain builds a model of this elven woman. They talked to her. They agreed that she gave them some magic stuff. I don't remember what. And then they started to make their way. They took another pathway back to the junction, which is a star-touched geyser in an old watchtower of the star-touched geyser in the watchtower of Aten is the other side. That's what it looks like here. Here it is a star-touched statue of Anu Akma, the god of the underworld. So they went there. They saw that there were some draconic and sable guards. They started fighting them, doing really well, and then a great shadow overtook them, and they saw that there is a knight of horn and gold who rides upon a shadow drake, and that the shadow drake is attacking, and that's where we're going to start today. So we are going to create a new session planning template. I'm using Obsidian to do my notes today. I use Obsidian to do all my game prep these days. So we have 1, 2, 3. I think we got 6 today. So Cal is not there, but everyone else, I believe, is there. So we're going to have 6 characters today. They are 6 characters of 6 level. 6 times 6 is 36. Half of 36 is 18. So that means that the lazy encounter benchmark today is 18. That in theory, they can handle 18 challenge ratings worth of monsters with a max of 9, a max CR of 9. For any one given monster. How do you figure that out? The lazy encounter benchmark for characters 5th level and above, the benchmark basically tells you the mark where if you have more CRs than that, it could be potentially deadly. And when we're talking about Tales of the Valiant, monsters in Tales of the Valiant are pretty tough for their challenge rating. So they're definitely pretty difficult. So you figure out the lazy encounter benchmark for characters of 5th level and above by adding all the character levels together. So we have 6 characters of 6th level, you add it all together, that's 36. And then because they're 5th level and above, you divide that number by 2. If they were 1st to 4th level, you would divide the number by 4. In this case, we're dividing by 2. 36 divided by 2 is 18. So that tells us the total amount of challenge ratings of monsters that we can use is 18. Here's the interesting thing. I do the lazy encounter benchmark all the time anyway, but for Tales of the Valiant, it's actually core. This is actually how you do it, because they commissioned me to write their encounter building guidelines. So in this case, I'm kind of excited because the lazy encounter benchmark is actually the same as the Tales of the Valiant encounter building guidelines. The max challenge rating of any given monster is basically 150% of character level, right? It's 1.5 times character level. So if the character is a level 6, a CR 9 monster is about as big as you want any one monster to be. And the example is you don't want to drop like an adult dragon on them, which could, that 18 should not all be one monster. Right? It should be multiple monsters. If you were to try to put it all on one monster, then that monster would probably be too powerful for 6th level characters. 6th level characters fighting a CR 18 would be ridiculous. They'd get their asses handed to them. But the max CR they can handle is about a 9. So that way you've got a general idea of, okay, the max CR is about a 9. And that's all. Let's actually take a look in the books. And you can see that. So this is in the Monster Vault. The encounter building guidelines for monsters are in the Monster Vault. And we have a building combat encounters section. And this is, I wrote all this. This is really cool. Go easy at first level, choosing the number of monsters, all this, determining monster difficulty, right? Then all the reasons why this doesn't work, but then calculating the benchmark. If the characters are 1st to 4th level, your benchmark is equal to 1/4 of total PC levels rounded down. If the PCs are 5th to 10th level, your benchmark is equal to 1/2 of total levels rounded down. And if they're 11th to 20th level, your benchmark is equal to 3/4 rounded down. So this 3/4, I will actually sometimes say, you can either increase it to 1-to-1 if they're 17th level and above, or you can decrease it. So that's one. And then I think in here, so here's where it's really cool. We have a table in here, right? And the table is the same as the lazy encounter benchmark. So you can go, I have 6 characters, 6th level, 6 times 6, it tells you 18 is that number, and it tells you the max CR is 9. I did it by hand. Right, I did it just by head math, but this table actually gives you everything you need. So the neat thing with this one is this one table can tell you everything. I have a example of this table on Sly Flourish, which is available under a Creative Commons license because it uses the same math. And this is under the Lazy GM resource document. We have Lazy Combat Encounter Building, and in here is that same table, right? So you can go 6 characters, 6 level, that's 18, single monster is 9, right? And that tells it to you. This one's different because this one also has the range. When you hit 11th level, it becomes a little bit fuzzier. And so this one actually has a range of CRs instead of the total CRs. And you can kind of try to figure out, like, for my group, where does it fit? So anyway, that's how we figure out encounter building guidelines. but that's not what we're doing today. So, Amavin. Amavin is our rogue. What would Amavin know? So he's a rogue. He can tell. Let's see. Amavin would be keeping an eye on the various factions. So Amavin probably remembers the various factions operating in Nerderin, including the Middle Finger, who are followers of Nakresh, who are operating out of here as well. It'll be very funny for the characters to have to tell the middle finger of the lower left hand of Nakresh. So there's a group of bandits. Let's start at the beginning. So there's a demon god named Nakresh. Nakresh is a demon god that specifically is about like theft and stealing and subterfuge. And there is a cult of Nakresh known as the lower left hand of Nakresh. The lower left hand believe they are holy followers of Nakresh who believe that the greatest honor is in stealing from powerful people. Like there is no greater honor than ripping off rich folk. And they specifically said that means that when we operate inside the Dragon Empire, we are in like the Holy Land. And it's because the dragons are so rich, there is nothing we can't take from them that wouldn't further the will of Nakresh. So the lower left hand of Nakresh are these. One of the character's patrons, named Kiprak, is a priest of the lower left hand of Nakresh. And I think the characters generally, I don't know if they like officially joined the lower left hand, but they're definitely allies of the lower left hand. There is a special group of thieves operating in the ruined city of Nerderin that are known as the middle finger of the lower left hand of Nakresh. Right. And so I just think it's funny. So they're just known as the middle finger, and the middle finger of the lower left hand of Nakresh is this group of, followers of Nakresh who are like hanging around the outskirts of Nerderin. And they're going to be one of the areas of Nerderin. So we have that. So that's fun. Gaudenzia is our druid. No, she's the ranger. And so she remembers that the Ghostwalkers operate around Nerderin. Mateo is our mechanist. Probably recognizes, the siege equipment, the operation of siege equipment in Nerderin. Rowan is our fighter and can feels the tension of the sharpened coin mercenaries and what are they called? The armies, the Nerderin, the conscripted armies. Tolstoy is our wizard. He, feels the drive to murder Vestar, the Shining Storm, on behalf of Mott. Mott is a evil god that Tolstoy has now band with through a devil named Cattell. And everyone was like, oh man, we're not trucking with devils. And they're like, well, our sworn enemy are dragons. And like, oh no, okay, cool, we're on board, right? And they were like ready to scream, like, oh really, dragons? Yeah, okay, great. Murdering on the Nerderin. That's pretty good. Murdering in the Nerderin. I kind of like that. That's a good name. Emmert is our ranger. What does Emmert recall of this area? It feels the nature of the junction to Nerderin, right? Can feel, is getting used to, gets used to boundaries between Midgard and the Shadow Roads. So if there's more Shadow Road sort of stuff, we've got it. I'm making a change to my notes here. I used to have a separate section for the Strong Start. I believe it still is. It's still a step. And I'm not changing the 8 steps to 7 steps. It's not a sub-step. But the way I'm organizing it in my notes is different. So the Strong Start is still the first thing we do, but I'm putting it into scenes so that I don't have to duplicate it in scenes, and it'll tighten up my notes a little bit. So instead, the first scene is the Strong Start. And we're going to have, let's see, we'll pull up a random generator here. I'm going to need an NPC, and we'll have Alikos Thorncaller. And he is a mage. I don't know if I like Alikos. Alcosa. That sounds a little different. Alcosa Thorncaller. And let's see, we are going to, in the vault, we have NPCs. And I think it's going to be a mage. The mage is CR6. on page 367. I think a mage riding on Shadowback is going to be really good. And is riding on Gloomcleaver, the Shadow Drake. Now, I don't think, I'm going to take a quick look through the artisanal monster database. We have shadow dragons. We have a shadow dragon wormling from the Monstrous Menagerie. But I don't think, and we have an adult shadow dragon, but we don't have a shadow drake. We have a young shadow dragon, CR10. Let's see what drakes we have. We have a liminal drake. We'll do these by challenge rating, because I know I need a challenge rating in this 5 to 6. We have a shepherd drake from Tome of Beasts. We have the Scorch Drake. I think I'm just going to reskin the Scorch Drake. Its challenge rating is 6 as well, and that's on page 159. So we're going to reskin a Scorch Drake. It saves me the trouble of having to bring another book. Let's take a quick look. So I actually used the Scorch Drake, but I changed it before. So it's a CR6, 145 hit points, AC 15, blah, 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 blah. Heat Shimmer. Creatures more than 30 feet from the Scorch Drake have disadvantage to see it. So I think instead of Heat Shimmer, it will be Shade, right? That they have disadvantage to see it. And probably, I think if they're 30 feet away or more, they have disadvantage on attacks because it's like fuzzy and in the shadows. I think that might be cool and dangerous. A creature that hits the Scorch Drake with a melee attack within 5 feet takes 3d6 fire damage. I think we'll just skip that. We'll just ignore that ability. Makes a bite and 2 claw attacks. Bite is 12 plus fire. I think we'll switch the fire to necrotic damage. So 12 plus 3 necrotic, 8 plus 3 necrotic for the claw attacks, and then I'll have a necrotic breath. And I think it'll be a blinding breath. Is that too much blinding? I don't know. 24. So this one has igniting, but so instead of igniting, I think we will do blindness. So we'll do and then fan the flames. Scorch flaps its wings in the direction of one ignited creature can see. Flame coated flares up. Target must make look, it has a blind. That's funny. So I think we'll skip. I think the bonus action will be its ability to hide in the shadows. It'll make it really hard to hit. Is that too much of a pain in the ass? I think that Heat Shimmer, we'll get rid of that. So we're going to get rid of all of its traits, and then as a bonus action, maybe it can shadow step. I mean, yeah, I think we'll do something like that. So I'd have like it can step into the shadow. It breathes. Yeah, maybe the breath area actually breathes an area of darkness. So it doesn't blind them, but they have to kind of move out of it. And it creates this darkness area. I think that would be pretty cool. So we're going to use the Shadow Drake, and I'll make those mods kind of on the fly. Maybe I'll jot them down under monsters, right? So Shadow Drake, and I'll do Scorch Drake. Page is 159, and then I'll just put some tags here. Darkness Breath, Shadow Step, and I think the Shadow Step will give it a stealth. So its stealth right now is 11, but that's pretty terrible. I think we're instead going to give it a 15, that you have to beat a 15 perception or it's invisible. Is that right? Is that how that would work? We'll give it shadow form, or basically if it's more than 30 feet away, it's invisible. I think that's good. Let's go back to my notes. So that's the start. And they still have a couple of other folks that they're fighting. I think there's a couple of knights. They did a good job of really incapacitating the knights and stuff like that. But I think there's like one knight left. I took a picture on my phone. Let's see if I have my photos here. Right when the game was done, I took a picture. Look, I got initiative, and let's see. No, I thought I took a picture, but I don't see it. Bummer. I don't know what happened to my picture. They will remind me. I think they had done a good job of like pinning people down though. So there's probably like a knight and a spy left, but not much. So secrets and clues. We're going to take a look from last time's secrets and clues. We'll just drop them right in and then delete the ones I don't need. A junction south of Gloomhold in the region of the Twilight Empire under Emperor Vilmos Marcuring, known as the Black Fang. Yeah, they learned that, and that's not super necessary. Carradine Blackwing, commander of Horn and Gold, is an NPC. We will probably drop under NPCs. Is under the court of the Queen of Night Magic. They learned that. Blackwing is aware and angry. Yes. One of whom was his husband's cousin, Calgara Shadowhand. We did learn that. Blackwing allied with the Maradi in exchange for the gift of Shadow Drakes, one of which we're going to see. So that's a good secret. The other courts believe the Court of Winter's Love abandoned, but it's not. It's commanded by Kallisler, Lady of Ash and Sorrow. She's not really an NPC today, but I'm going to put her name in because I forget names. And it's handy to have names. But that secret is already done. Kallisler's husband, Claremond, the Goblin Bard. Claremond needs a name. Needs like a fun name. Let's see. Something about singing fine songs. Claremond Greyharp. Husband of Kallisler, Goblin Bard. Kallisler, husband Claremond, has been trapped by Ibelin, is held by Vestar on orders from Blackwing. Lady Kallisler is a hulking being between life and death whose visage cannot be fully seen by mortal eyes. She appears as a pale white-haired elf, but she is something else. We know that. Claremond, fate-touched goblin who keeps Lady Kallisler from falling into complete despair. We know that. The Dragon Empire kidnapped Claremond and has him held in Nerderin. They were told about his value from Blackwing, so I just did that one. So, what other secrets? So, is there any other secrets that pertain to the initial starting scene? I only have like the one. So let's finish up my scenes here, though. So transfer over from the junction, and what was it? We'll put we can stick our fantastic locations in here. So I have these 3 scenes from last time that didn't happen, but I'm going to modify them slightly. Transfer to Midgard at the star-touched statue of Anu Akma, god of the underworld. Arrive. Face the Guardians of the Junction in Midgard. And who will those be? If probably a knight, a dragonborn knight, and 5 sharpened coin mercenaries. They're probably lower now. They're probably down to 3 sharpened coin mercenaries on the other side. And we'll do 8 conscripted guards. So that we've got a mix of 3 of the factions that are here. And it is a star-touched geyser of A10 in an old watchtower of A10. And that has dragonborn, a single dragonborn knight, 3 sharpened coin mercenaries, and 8 conscripted guards. And then they have, let's see, getting a hold of Nerderin. The goal, assassinate Vestar, the Shining Storm. That's the goal. We'll have understanding. So, word has arrived to the dragon, to Vestar and his advisors of the loss, of the fall of Blackspire and the loss of money. Rumors have already begun spreading among the conscripted armies and the sharpened coin. The sharpened coin have begun picking up, but on the sly. They plan to split up into multiple companies and travel back into the Empire for smaller jobs. Commanders of the conscripted army, which needs a name. Let's do a quick look at the name. We're going to go to a Midgard world book. I need a map. Let's see. Let's pull up a map here. They were like the Southern Dragon Coil, the Southern Dragon Coil legions. I think I already know that. I don't need to look it up. Commanders of the Southern Dragon Coil legions began rationing food and equipment. They're beginning to plan a forced march north with hopes of living off the land. They're trying to beat winter. We don't need to do the seasoning. And most will die. They're gonna arrive with far fewer than they know this. Like, they don't have enough money. They don't have enough food. What else? Attacks by the Ghostwalkers are on the rise. The sharpened coin has isolated themselves and set a double watch. Still, they lose stragglers and opportunists. Stragglers and smugglers. So there are some members of the sharpened coin are all mercenaries, so they're pretty morally questionable anyway. And sometimes they will slip out of camp and go to try to steal what they can from the ruins nearby, and then many times they don't come back, or their heads are found with their own, with their own scalps stuffed in their own mouths as a sign from the Ghostwalkers. Several conscripts are killed each night. Sentries are found still standing, eviscerated where they stand. That's nice and grim. Guess where I'm getting that from. I don't know how to spell eviscerated. the middle finger of the lower left hand of Nakresh. So what are they up to? So we have kind of all of our factions. I'm going to highlight some of our factions. We have the Sharpened Coin. I'm going to put bold around them. We have the Southern Dragon Coil Legions, which are the conscripted army. We have the Ghost Walkers are operating in the area. And we have the Middle Finger. So we have 4 factions. Hey, thank you. Eviscerated. EVISCERATED. Yay. Or is disemboweled even better? It's grim. I like that. That they're standing, like you go up the scout and you go and you turn around and they're just totally ripped open. So what is the middle finger of the lower left hand of Nakresh doing? Let's see. So they know where they're hoping to rob what remains of Vestar's personal hoard. So where is Vestar? I think I'm going to go back to some of my old notes. It's been a while. When were we last in Nerderin? So going back to February, it looks like we're in Nerderin here. Yep. Oh, we have the Fangs of Digi, bad guy bandits. I don't know if we need another faction. So maybe the Fangs, maybe the third finger of the lower left hand. That's right. They're not known as the middle finger. They're known as the third finger of the lower left hand. But where is Vestar's Citadel? Let's see. Nerderin Citadel of the former Nurian Lord, Kiernan Redseeker. So I have that. That's where Vestar is. A former Nerderin Citadel. High up on the mountains. Former seat of the Nurian Lord, Kiernan Redseeker. I don't really need that in my fantastic locations then. Again, note consolidation is great. 2, 4, 6, 8. I got 2 secrets remaining. So I always love it'd be very funny if I use the same map that I use for I wonder if they'd know. I wonder if they'd figure it out. There's a Citadel map that I love using. I wonder if I could get away with it. I could just flip it. Yeah, I could flip it 90 degrees because I used it in my Shadow Dark campaign. And I could literally just do a mirror image and see if they figured it out. And it's the map that I used for it's actually in City of Arches. In the City of Arches book. Let's take a look. Let's find that one, boys and girls. So here's the City of Arches. Go to our table of contents. And it is the Bonespur Keep. And Bonespur Keep has several passages. And so the cool bit is that I think Bonespur Keep, they never did the lower sections of it. So I think we're going to use that because that sounds great. Where is my art JPEGs? You'd think I'd have my own stuff organized better than I do, but I don't. Let's see, I'll unzip the map art and map pack. And I'll go to art pack and maps and Bonespur. So, for example, these are the lower passages. I think I'll just print those. And then the middle passages. And I think we will, let's see, file, duplicate, tools, flip horizontally. That's funny. And then print that. But I do not need to make a copy because, and then did I do the lower? I did not. So the lower, we duplicate because I don't want to mess the original one up. Tools, flip horizontally, and print. And then upper, tools, flip horizontally, and print. It's a lot of maps. And then what I'm going to do, I actually have, let's see. So I can open up the City of Arches book and I can go straight to that section. Let's see here. We'll do it together. So here's the City of Arches and Bonespur. And all I really need, I guess there's a few pages that I need. Let's see. Why does this isn't the right one. My City of Arches art and map pack, my copy is the older one. That's not good. There we go. Okay, I did have one in there, so never mind. I do have the newest one. The March 2nd version of City of Arches includes the no background version. We want Adventure Frameworks. We want Bonespur Keep. And we are So I can probably just steal a lot of this. This could be fun. So I think we're going to do page 138, 9, 40, and 41. So from 138 to 141. Let's make sure I've got those right. Yeah, perfect. Okay, print those. So I think if we look at this, so let's take a look at the inhabitants, right? The lower inhabitants, we can reskin some of this stuff. So the fetid caverns typically was held by a green hag. We could have that right beneath the keep. So what is this keep? So the Nerderin Citadel, it needs a name. Man, I got paper just flying out of my printer behind me. Oops. Let's see. So Nerderin, Nuria, these were the Nurians of Nuria Natal. We could pick a Southlands god. We'll do an item. We will say Southlands, and we'll just generate some Zevios, god of war and thunder. That's not bad. Hewn, we've already had. The Chaos Serpent, Baal Hotep, he who rides the clouds. The Lord of the Heavens. So we could call it like Citadel of the Third Heaven. A seat of Baal Hotep. Lord of the Heavens. King of all dragons. That's pretty good. So beneath, we'll call it the Third Heaven. The Citadel of Third Heaven. Of the Third Heaven. So we'll just call it Third Heaven. Are old tombs and decrepit caves in which a hag of the Pale Mother sends her children to devour the armies. Right? So that way we've got like a touch of the ghost walkers are down here. I kind of dig that. So we have our random occupants, giant rats, gnaws, gricks, black puddings, ochre jellies, driders, a cursed elven drider attacks pegging for death, grim, piercers, cloakers, skeleton specters, imps, skeletal ogre, wights, wraith, revenants, confused ghosts. Then the occupants themselves will probably change up we're going to change up with a mixture of the dragon armies. So this all still kind of works. I'll just reskin some of the stuff. And then I have, these descriptions that I can work with. So I'm able to steal a whole lot from this place and fill it out. So that I think that that's going to work fine. Let's go back and look at this. So I filled out my fantastic location. And then Vestar, of course, is going to be there. So I'll have Vestar, who's a young silver dragon, probably guarded by and what are they called? Spell scale, or the creature that I'm making in Monster Vault 2. I forget what it's called. A spell scale vassal. Named what? It's a spell scale vassal who is loyal to Ibelin, the illustrious. Drakefang is 2 on the money. Wolfstar. Well, I already have Vestar, so that doesn't work. Gloomhunter is a good name. Broadwolf. That's not bad. Blackwolf. Stonewolf. Stonewolf is kind of cool. Named Stonewolf. Stonewolf is what kind of dragon? Let's roll a d10, and I will kind of figure it out. On a 1 to 5, it is a chromatic. On a 6 to 10, it is a metallic. I got a 5. If we do them alphabetically, I guess we can look. Let's look in the book. Probably white. We'll make it a white dragon. A white spell scale vassal named Stonewolf. That's kind of a secret, but whatever. Vestar is horribly worried that his mother is going to find out that the money is gone to fund the southern armies is gone. He's hoping for a miracle. And in the meantime, plans to blame his brother who died at Blackspire. What was his brother's name? That was the Copper Dragon. Son. So that's good. Fantastic locations that I don't need. The monsters I'll keep. Treasure. Let us roll on my fancy. Let's see. I have a Tales of the Valiant treasure generator that I built up. Oh, look at this. We can do Southlands factions because they would have picked up some Southland stuff. This looks like some good stuff. Drop that into my notes. Opal Astral Copper Incense Bowl of Selket, Goddess of Scorpions, worth 50 gold pieces. Defiled Dwarven Silver Reliquary with Lapis Lazuli and red onyx of Takar, Guardian of the Gates. That sounds cool. What if this thing could cast Dimension Door once? That would be fun. And the Incense Bowl of Selket can cast, what's the Cloud Kill? Can cast Cloud Kill once. We will lower the gold and increase the gold piece of these two items to each 500 gold each. A reciprocating polearm sounds boring. I would rather give out, let's see. So who doesn't have a magic item right now? Let's go look at the list. I think most of them do. So Amavin, we could make it a scimitar. You know, you can always like a +1 scimitar. And of Laughing Nikrikishi that casts darkness once a day, through which the one attuned to the scimitar can see. So we got to give a cool name to this scimitar. Laughing Nikishri, the Laughing Darkness. I'll call it the Laughing Darkness. Call it Slither. +1 scimitar of Laughing Nikrishi that can cast darkness once per day, through which the one attuned to the scimitar can see. I think that sounds pretty cool. Good for rogues, good for rangers. Potion of Greater Healing, Dust of Dryness, Cloak of Elvenkind. So that's a lot of magic stuff. I probably won't give all that away, but I got it on my list. So, do I have everything I need? I feel like I do. I am going to print these notes out. Export to PDF. They should easily fit on one page. No, they don't. Oh, I have to reduce my 96. We'll do it to 80. That fits nicely. All right, print. So now I've got all my notes. Friends, I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me today while I prepared for my game. If you enjoyed this show and you want to see more stuff like this, the best thing you can do is sign up for the Sly Flourish newsletter. There is a link in the show notes below. It is absolutely free to sign up. You get a weekly RPG-related email with links to all of the other stuff that I do, and you get a free adventure generator for signing up. Costs you nothing at all. You can also support me directly on Patreon. Patrons get access to all of these random tools and generators that I was just showing, like the Tales of the Valiant Treasure generator that I just used and others. You also help me put on shows like this, and you get access to our awesome Discord community, and plus a ton of other stuff that you get for being a patron of Sly Flourish. And you can pick up any of my books, including Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master, the Lazy DM's Workbook, the Lazy DM's Companion, and more at the Sly Flourish bookstore. Links are in the show notes. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and get out there and play an RPG.